Okay, this is Hangout 2, and we're going to go right into it. So, my first tool that I chose was QR codes in the classroom. Um, the company Denso Wave actually founded like QR codes in general. And more specifically, it was actually created by Mysterio Hara. And more, you can click there for more about the creator. Um, what are QR codes? The purpose of a QR code in the classroom is to allow students and teachers and parents have an easy way to access more information on a specific topic. For example, a teacher may add a QR code to a student's homework so their parents and the student can retrieve more information easily that will help them complete their homework more successfully. And you can click on that link for more information. It actually takes you to a website that has all these other creative ways that you can use QR codes in the classroom. Substitute, instead of having students cite their sources in the usual format, teach them to cite their sources with QR codes using a QR code generator. Augment, create stations with QR codes and have students work in groups and answer and or complete the task at each station with self-directed learning. Modify, instead of having students write a paper that they can create an interactive worksheet with QR codes that the teacher and other students can use to find more information about the student's project. And finally, redefine, create a scavenger hunt with QR codes and allow students to go around the classroom or even the school scanning the codes and answering questions instead of a paper and pencil quiz. To conclude, QR codes give the possibility to save paper. QR codes allow students to incorporate even more technology into their school day. QR codes assist more than just students, but teachers and parents. And then a link to the tool just takes you to a few of the QR code generators that are free online. My second tool was Chromebooks in the classroom. They were created by Jeff Nelson, which you can click on that link below and it'll take you and you can read more about him. Chromebooks in the classroom. The purpose of Google Chromebooks is for students to be able to further their learning with the access to Google's tools. A few of those are like Google Docs, Google Earth, Google Slides. You can click more about the use of Chromebooks, possibilities of Chromebooks. They're available to all Android apps, and they have a world-facing camera, so you can basically just see everything. Substitute, a teacher could have their students type their notes in a Google document instead of the usual pencil and paper. Augment, the teacher could allow the students to make a group presentation using Google Slides so they can create and edit the presentation together. Modify, the teacher could replace an in-class presentation with the option to record themselves with their Chromebook to present the content. Redefine, the teacher will have their students use Google Draw in their art class to create a portrait with the shape tool. Conclusion, Chromebooks are reasonably priced with a long battery life. It gives students and teachers the ability to use different languages. It also has better security with automatic backups because it only uses one like internet source. And then if you click the link to the tool, it sends you right to like the Chromebook's main website where you can learn more about them.
Okay, so for my first tool, I did iPads in the classroom, and iPads were created by Apple. So the founder is Steve Jobs, and then more information about the creators and like about Apple can be found with this link. So iPads in the classroom can be useful for both teachers and students. And then there's like there's so many apps that can be used in the classroom. But just a few examples would be like Class Dojo that we reviewed in the previous Google Hangout for classroom management, Haiku Deck, which is a presentation tool, Touchable Earth, which is a manipulatable map, which would be cool for students to use so that they can touch it and move it with their own hands, and Trello, which is group project management. And for substitute, it is substituting pen and paper or a desktop computer for a portable handheld tablet. And augmentation, we're trading in the pen and paper for using Google Docs on the iPad, which can be handy at their desk to check their spelling. For modification, instead of just a story, students can add music or drawing to their work and make it more neat. And then for redefinition, while teaching about geography, teachers can use the Touchable Earth app to let students see and move the map with their fingers. And in conclusion, 3 reasons to use iPads in the classroom. If a student is using an app on the iPad, they will be limited to the content of that app and they will have less distractions than if they were on a web page on the internet on like a desktop computer. And they're easy to use and have a lot less technical difficulties and are like they're have better speed than desktop computers. And teachers can carry an iPad around with them and enforce a classroom point system like Class Dojo better than if they had to walk back to their computer every time to do so. And my second tool is Google Tools. And Google created Google Tools, and the founders of Google are Larry Page and Sergey Brin. And more information about them can be found here. And there are dozens of Google tools, including animating slides, embedding things in presentations, showing a motion path, and manipulating infographics. All of the tools are very easy to use, just like with anything in Google Slides. And there are plenty of tutorials for any of the tools and how to use them. And a teacher could create a slideshow to show the path of motion and how to draw letters and numbers for younger students. For substitution, there's substituting plain presentations with ones that are animated. And for augmentation, students could bring their presentations to life. For modifications, it changes the way teachers can present their information, and they can now show tutorials in their slides. And for redefinition, new creations can be made with Google tools, such as digital drawings with shapes that can be drawn with precision. And this can also help students with motor skill issues. In conclusion, this should be used when teachers are creating their presentations for the classroom to make them more engaging. And students can use Google Drawings if they have a monitor or motor skill deficiency to help them be able to draw things with the help of the computer. And students creating presentations will provide more variety to the simple slideshow of just slides with text on them, so students have more room for creativity.
Okay, I think I am next with 3D printing. And the first 3D printer was created by Charles W. Hull in the mid 1980s. And at this time, 3D printers were costing 100,000 or more. And more information can be found on Wikipedia or EPO if you click there. The purpose of 3D printers includes verifying a design and using inexpensive materials and making it before making it with expensive materials, so you get a gist of what it's going to look like. In the classroom, 3D printers are a way for students to use their imagination and make something come to life. It creates objects that can be used to enhance a lesson, and it can help develop students' spatial intelligence. And something that recently happened was a 7-year-old girl was pitching at the World Series with a 3D printed hand, which I just saw, which I just thought was cool. So I added that in here. Depending on the 3D printer being used, it can vary in difficulty. For beginners, 3D printing can start out as being slightly difficult and confusing. Once you learn more about the specific printer being used and how to correctly develop an object to print, it'll become more easy. There are sites like Thingiverse that we use in the class, and like this is a site that you can select objects that were already created. The possibilities of 3D printers in the classroom is to print maps, teach fractions, area, volume, create frames, which will help you learn about measurements, weight, and balance. Substitute, instead of learning from an insect from a textbook, you find a 3D insect online on a 3D printer website. Augmentation, developing, creating your own insect on a 3D printer website. Modification, printing out your own creation of an insect on the 3D printer and presenting it to the class. And redefinition, printing out your own creation of an insect and posting it on a 3D printing website to share your invention with people around the globe. 3D printers should be used because it expands students' knowledge of concepts and lessons, and it is more interactive and engaging than 2D objects or just looking at it in the textbook or online. And it expands students' knowledge of technology and how to use it. The challenges that come with getting and using a 3D printer are that they are still pretty expensive to buy out of pocket, and they are challenging for the use of kids and beginners. And the next thing I have is virtual reality. And Ivan Sutherland created the first head-mounted display HMD, which was attached to a computer system. And there is a couple of other people that claim to have invented virtual reality listed here, and more information can be found on Virtual Reality Society's website. The purpose of virtual reality is to transport you to a different location virtually. Virtual reality can be used to explore a place you've never been to before and see things that you couldn't unless you traveled there. Virtual reality is easy to learn and use, and there's a link on how to use virtual reality. The possibilities of virtual reality is it can be used for healthcare, agriculture, entertainment, business, sports, military, art, education, media, and rehabilitation. Substitution. Instead of reading about Mars, students could go online and look and read about Mars and look at pictures. Augmentation. Instead of reading and looking at pictures of Mars, students could use virtual reality goggles to explore Mars. Modification. Students can explore Mars and explain their findings and adventures to the class. And redefinition. Students can make their own virtual reality experience of their favorite place and share it online. And virtual reality would be a great addition to student learning in the classroom because it lets the students visit a place instantly, and they'll learn and understand the lesson more from actually seeing the setting, and it would definitely be more fun and engaging. The challenges of virtual reality goggles are that they could also be expensive, and having enough for everybody, you'd have to probably take turns.
Not this one, sorry guys. All right, so the next one that I have is Twitter for Teachers, and who created Twitter was it was created by four men: Jack Dorsey, Noah Glass, Biz Stone, and Evan Williams. It was founded on March 21st, 2006. And to find more about the founders of Twitter, you can follow this link here that I provided. So, what is Twitter? Twitter is an online new social networking service where users post and interact with messages, also known as tweets, restricted to 140 characters. Registered users can post tweets, but unregistered users can only read them. So how Twitter works with the SAMR model is substitute. Instead of using pen and papers, teachers can use Twitter. Augmentation, it will make learning more fun and efficient. Modification, teachers can assign short answer questions and students can answer them via Twitter. Redefinition, Twitter will allow teachers and students to interact and be more productive via social media. Conclusion of Twitter, some advantages. It incorporates technology in the classroom. It allows teachers and students to connect with each other. Assignments can be submitted instantly. Some disadvantages of Twitter: students may abuse the power of being able to use social media in the classroom. Students may not use it for educational purposes, and it can be a distraction to some students. As a future educator, I would love to incorporate Twitter in my classroom. I would post the assigned homework for the night, or maybe possibly make polls and have students respond to them, or even have a discussion thread via Twitter. My next one was concept mapping in the classroom, and the technique of concept mapping was created by Joseph D. Novak and his research team at Cornell University in the 1970s as a means of representing the emerging science knowledge of students. To find out more information on Dr. Novak, you can follow this link here that I provided. So what is concept mapping? Concept mapping is a concept map is a hierarchical form of structured diagram that illustrates conceptual knowledge and their relationships with a specific topic from general to specific concepts. Oops. So the structure of a concept map, the core element of a concept map is a proposition, which consists of two or more concepts connected by and labeled linked to this propositions are then branched out from a larger structure that provides the whole picture. As you can see here, I provided an example of a concept map. This one has assessment types. So there's passive and active, which are the two propositions that I was talking about before. And then passive is like you see here, we have exams, essays, MCOs, GOBIT. And then active, we have stuff like portfolios, orals, direct observation, presentations. So how concept mapping works with the SAMR model, you will be substituting regular worksheets and note-taking methods. Augmentation, the teacher will allow students to organize their thoughts. Modification, it allows students to become more active in their learning. And redefinition, concept maps allow students to be creative and understand concepts more efficiently. Conclusion, so some advantages, it allows deep learning, encourages collaborative learning and team knowledge mapping. It can be used in a large class setting, either individually or collaboratively, by giving students a partially filled concept map or a few concepts to fill in on the map. Some disadvantages of concept mapping, students who aren't familiar with concept mapping may find it intimidating. Concept mapping is often not a graded assignment. It is a tool for students to use for studying, and many students may find this frustrating. They can become time consuming. And as a future educator, I would definitely use concept mapping because it's a great study tool and a wonderful resource when reviewing material. So this concludes our Google Hangout, and I hope you guys enjoy watching.